Amazing. And, since our last meeting, one update is that I'm these days a breathwork instructor. So I'm all about the breath, love the breath. And the way that I was reminded of you is when I was going through James Nestor's book, Breath. And on page 23, I came across your case study where you were working with some cyclists and you conducted an experiment comparing the effects of mouth breathing or nasal breathing, right? And you learned that, well, nasal breathing is the more healthy way to go, right? So maybe if you could talk a bit about this, because it's so fascinating, and it was almost serendipitous that I just came across your study on page 23, and I was like, I have to have Dr. Douillard once again on my show.
Well, we did when I wrote my first book, Body, Mind, and Sport, which is what he was referring to, that research we did, we published a study in International Journal of Neuroscience on the difference between nose breathing and mouth breathing during exercise. And we found that when people nose breathe, their brains would go into an alpha state. They would go into a meditative, coherent calm. So all the parts of the brain were doing the same thing, and the brain waves slowed down. When you were huffing and puffing through the mouth, the brain went into a fight or flight beta state and changed. So we literally changed the brain waves. It was the first time anybody had replicated alpha brain waves in the brain during exercise ever. It was an unprecedented finding. And we also measured the fight or flight and sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system. And normally in exercise, when you exercise, the fight or flight goes up and the parasympathetic goes to zero. In our study, the fight or flight actually stayed at about 50%, and the parasympathetic stayed at about 50%. So instead of having a full-on fight or flight reaction, we had the two opposite nervous systems coexisting. And this is back to what we talked about, the eye of the storm. When you have the coexistence of opposites in your nervous system functioning. Now, my brain waves are calm. My brainwave coherence are still. My fight or flight nervous system is down and my parasympathetic calm nervous system is up. All that is the eye of the storm. So I've created an experience now where I am in the eye of the storm, but I'm also running as fast as I can in our study. So we had dynamic activity coexisting with a neurological calm, brainwave coherence, alpha wave meditative brainwave production, parasympathetic dominance. All of a sudden, in the coexistence, we had both. We had the calm, the eye of the storm, and the winds. We proved what I was trying to prove way back then was the runner's high. The runner's high was my best race, is my easiest race. That you slip into this state of incredible potential, human potential, by slipping into this state of the coexistence of opposites. Meditation is a pull back the bow, established being. Yoga can be that way, but a lot of people do their yoga and their meditation, but they don't shoot the arrow. So we have all these stress reduction techniques. I do yoga, I meditate, but then I go back into my life and I'm back in the winds of the storm. So my goal, my whole career was, how do I take the eye of the storm with me? The bigger the calm, the more powerful the winds. So the idea was, when you pull back the bow, you have to not just meditate and then just stop. You got to pull back the bow and then take action from that place.